Hey guys, this is Spark Plus Ultra here, and this is my new What If. Thank you for voting, and this is what if Asta had Riolu abilities. Aura, it's everywhere. And I hope you like this video, and hope you subscribe. In a world where vast monsters were tamed by humans, this is the universe that is called the Pokemon universe. In the universe of Pokemon, all of the little animals, monster-like beings, to the ocean, land, air, space, cosmos, time, and the universe. There are many Pokemon-like animals and beings, but not many have fared even. Some fare in abuse or worse. But then a being calls himself Arceus comes and thinks of the universe. Why? I'm thinking reasons I have dealt. Universe. My universe is vast and interesting, but Arceus thinks, looking at the Pokemon universe, and sees another one. Maybe could. Thinking of what his idea. He waits for the right being or a Pokemon. No cosmology will be used. No Dialga, no Palkia, neither Giratina, no legendaries. Just one Pokemon to be having a second chance. And when Arceus waits on the right Pokemon for centuries, there was a little Riolu. And Riolu was looking around and running from a very dangerous Pokemon, a Hippopotas that was chasing after him. And Riolu then was sensing the aura around every place, trying to not be subdued by the Hippowdon sandstorm. And the Hippowdon was chasing after Riolu, and Riolu was looking at the Hippowdon and uses a very simple vacuum wave and shooting it at Hippowdon, and Hippowdon gets hit by it, and Riolu says, Riolu, then waits and senses the Hippowdon is going to attack him, and Hippowdon then does Hippowdon and uses Crunch, and Riolu dodges, and Hippowdon then uses Sand Attack to Riolu, and Riolu says, Riolu! And getting hit by sand, and Hippowdon then follows it up with a earthquake, and Riolu gets hit by and gets flown back. Riolu! And Hippowdon then charges at Riolu, and Riolu stands up and deals attack, but then when Riolu uses another attack, he waits on the Hippowdon, and Hippowdon uses Crunch. And then Riolu waits, keeps his eyes closed, and takes a deep breath. And Hippowdon chomps on Riolu, chomping his arm. Riolu! And using that attack that was hit against him, he counters and punching Hippowdon's head. A ball! And Hippowdon then felt that counter, but wasn't loosening his grip on that bite on the arm. Riolu! And vacuuming his another attack, a vacuum wave, and hitting the Hippowdon. And Hippowdon felt that another attack. And then final gambit! And Riolu then uses all his strength to take out Hippowdon. And Hippowdon then rips off Riolu's arm. Riolu! And screaming out. And Riolu then nearly stops getting up, and Riolu then walks while holding his side ripped off arm, and Riolu then uses his aura to sense where to go, and Riolu feeling his arm, Riolu, and then he sensed a unnatural aura, Riolu, and walks towards it and feels an unnatural aura. Sees an immense aura around 3 beings, and Riolu then looks at the 3 of them, and then 3 of the beings see Riolu in a very bad state, and the 3 beings come to him to probably do something about it, but Riolu then falls facing the ground, and then the being from outside of Riolu's aura vision was the being of Mew, the first Pokemon, well, technically first on Earth Pokemon, and Celebi, and was also worried about the young Riolu. And the third was Meloetta, who was singing a song to try to heal the young Riolu. It was too late. Riolu was gone. Then Mew and Celebi and Meloetta then put a 1 to ask for the legendary mythical Arceus to save this young Riolu and let him have a second chance. And Arceus agrees the idea because he wanted someone to be this new reincarnation in the new universe. And then the Riolu was pulled his soul and gets to the mythical Arceus, and Arceus then says, "Greetings, young Riolu. I am Arceus." And Riolu was confused on what he sees, never seen him before. And Arceus says, "I know this is confusing to you. I would never done this, but the 3 Pokemon have asked for reincarnation, and I agreed to their proposal." And Riolu was outstanding on that. His mouth was awed at what he hears. And Arceus says, "You will be reincarnated into a human, but you will have your abilities with the human that you have reincarnated. I will also allow your evolution to merge into your human traits. That includes your Mega Evolution." And Riolu was outstanding on that. He can't even process on what is going on. But then Arceus says this, "Don't fear your new reincarnation. At least get used to it. You'll be named in this new universe." And Riolu was at a confused state. What's another question? And then Arceus says this, "Don't worry, your aura will be included in your human body. That includes parts of your traits, of your own look, of what you have. You will have a tail and have some ears with your human quality. Now, you'll be reincarnated into the new human in the new universe." And Riolu was sent to a different universe, and his soul sees a young little self, a baby-like human, crawls into the ground and looks at himself in the water reflection and sees a baby look, a human feature, sees his tail and his little dog-like ears. And then he checks his baby crate and sees his name was Asta, and Riolu then takes up the name of Asta, but he doesn't see his family or other father. And Riolu then says, where am I? And thinking to himself, when he was crawling around, he looks around, takes a deep breath, and senses aura, and sees unrecognizable landscape. And he never felt this type of aura. Slowly then makes few crawling steps, feels every step, every feeling that he has never felt this type of aura. And Asta then sensed something unrecognizable but somewhat familiar. He senses berries, the juice plenishing, or allows him to sense any living thing, no matter how difficult it is. He senses the berries like it was a very simple task, and then he grabs them with his baby hands and then gets a rock and hits them with his hands and gulps them down, and feeling some nourishment with it. And Sugu then makes a bed of leaves and feels every feeling, every animal that isn't familiar with him. And then he hides under nearby the tree and sleeps. And he did this every 5 years, but he does learn how to survive and work on his own style of fight. But when Asta was wandering around, feels every different aura around him. The trees are feeling so unique. Every sense of animal were having different types of unique elements to them. And he keeps on walking and then feels another thing. When he was sensing it with his aura, there was a beast coming at him from the bush, and Asta then dodges, and the beast pounces and growls at Asta. And Asta is at 5 and looking at it. And Asta takes a deep breath and looks at the beast that was unfamiliar to him. And then Asta used vacuum wave to make a dust and run, and the beast then saw that dust and pounces, but Asta was gone, and Asta runs, but when he was running, he then falls off the cliff, and then was falling off a medium slope cliff. He was sliding down until he sees a flower garden that was filled with yellow flowers. Go! And stumbling and rolling down, Asta then was knocked out. When Asta was knocked out, there were 2 girls. There was a orange-haired girl that was in the yellow garden. Her eyes were light green, and she was wandering around the flowers and having a little fun with them, and was honestly having a great time seeing. And then she trips on something and says, "What?" and then falls and says, "Ow, that one hurts a bit." But when she falls, she looks and sees a boy with ear and a tail, unique hair that is like blue. The girl says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't..." "Huh? Wait a minute." And the girl looks at what Asta's rail and the bruises he has, and the girl then says, "You're okay." Using healing magic on Asta, opens his eyes and sees the orange-haired girl, green eyes, and Asta then backs off, shaking in his hands and seeing her. And the girl says, "Are you okay? Did anything happen to you?" And Asta looks at her, shaking, seeing a first human that he ever seen. And Asta feels his hands, sees them, seeing his injuries. And the girl says, "I fixed you up. You were in very rough state. I thought you were very injured, so I had to help you." And Asta then sees her and closes his eyes, senses her aura. And the girl says, "Are you closing your eyes? Is there something wrong?" And she then sees him using his hand. "Huh? What's up? Did something wrong happen?" She then puts her hand on his, and Asta feels her hand coming onto his. And Mimosa says, "There's something the matter?" And Asta then senses her aura and draws his face down in amazement, and opens his eyes and looks at her. And Mimosa says, "What's the matter? Is something wrong?" And Asta looks at her in a interesting look. And curiosity looks at her. And Mimosa was a little unsettled on his look, but tries to understand him on why his curiosity is intrigued. And Asta then smiles with his red eyes glowing. And Mimosa says, "Can you talk? Can you say anything?" And Asta then was confused on her answer. And Mimosa was surprised on what he was looking at her for. Then Mimosa realized, "We need to get you in. We need to help you." And Mimosa grabbed Asta's hand, and Asta gets freaked out on what he felt and gets back and frightened. And Mimosa then looks at Asta, and Mimosa says, "What's the matter? Are you afraid?" And Asta was getting back from her, and Mimosa says, "Relax, I'm not gonna hurt you." And when she was trying to calm Asta down, but when she takes a little slow step for him, Asta then runs a bit, and Mimosa says, "Wait!" and goes and chases after him. But when he runs, he trips, and Mimosa then trips as well, and lands on Asta, and Asta says, moaning in grief. And Mimosa said, "Are you and seeing his body without any clothes, she forgot that he's and getting back on her feet and said, "What happened? Were you all alone in in the woods or something?" In shock, she says, and Asta then runs off. And then Mimosa sees the tail, and realizes the ears. What? I just speechless on what she sees, but also worried about it. And when Asta ran off, Asta then felt his heartbeat, taking deep breaths, and looking at his hand. What happened? Thinking to himself, and seeing her emotions and some unique aura around her. She was happy but Asta doesn't know what was going on. And then realize, when she fell on him. Asta realized that was the first time he felt his ears near to a person. And Asta then sighs and goes in trains on his abilities and taking out different beasts. While Mimosa was thinking, I never seen what he looks like. He reminds me of a jackal, but I never seen a human with a tail or ears like those. Whatever he was, he seemed scared and smiles and says, alright, when we meet again, I'll tell you and help you out. And Mimosa then thinks what she looked at him. He reminds me of a cute dog, a pup. Smiling a bit. And then Asta was in the winter time. When Asta was fending himself, he groans in hunger, not getting the nutrients on berries like usual, and sighs. Then Asta goes out and was wandering about in the cold winter woods and looks around, senses different beasts, but also a city nearby. And Asta moves to the city or a village, I sense. And Asta wanders around and sees the village that he's never seen, and then realized that he can't be seen while he was not clothed. Asta then grabbed some leaves and modified his own clothes, and then goes and looks around and wanders around and hiding in the village. He sensed something unlike others. He sensed different aura that he never sensed. But when he come across a man taking a young boy's necklace, the man says, this will be good to pocket off and sell. And then Asta felt that boy's feelings, his emotions, and feels no happiness or felt no good to see what he saw. And Asta sighed, and then Asta uses his aura and takes a deep breath. And then when the man was walking towards the building, Asta then uses vacuum wave and shooting it out a wave and hitting the man. And when the man was shocked to felt something out of nowhere, Asta then uses quick attack to hit him without being noticed. And the man sees Asta, and the man says, what the hell? I never seen you from here. Well, get yourself out of my way. The man tries to use his magic, but Asta and use feint and prepares himself for that attack, but it was not connected. But when he realized it was a feint, Asta then punches him in the face, knocking him out. And Asta, feeling the aura and sensing what the boy lost, and then grabs it out of the man's pocket. And Asta walks towards the boy and showing it to him. And the boy looks at it. Who are you? And Asta looks at him with a very serious look. And Yuna says, thank you. And Asta was going to leave, but Yuna says, hey, are you lost? I can take you to the church. And Asta then looks at Yuna and confused. But when he was going to be going off, his stomach grumbles. And Yuna says, you're hungry. Are you starved? Man, let's go. And Asta was pulled by Yuno's hand and getting to the church. And Father Orai then says, Yuna, you're back. And Yuno said, alright, I found a boy helped me out. And Arai says, huh? And Arai was looking at Asta with his blue hair and ears on his head, but also his tail. I never seen him before. And he thinks to himself, maybe a new race. I never seen this person before, or any person race. But then Arai says, young boy, are you from here? And Asta was confused on what he's saying. And Arai then says, not what? Give me a nod or yes. Did you come from a royal or come from a parent? And Asta then says no on either of those. Are you a wandering child? And Asta then shook his head on that one. And Orphi says, Yuno, are you sure? And Yuno says, yes, I'm sure. And Arai says, well, why not? Looking at you, I highly doubt many people would be afraid, but they would be curious on what you come from, but it would be fine. And then Arai gets Asta some proper clothes and Arai then shows him what magic can do. And Asta was finally figuring out what that strange aura was. And then Sister Lily shows hers, and was already showing his magic when Asta was curious. And whenever Asta was curious, the church kids were curious of his looks and how he behaves, seeing his tail and his ears, and they were touching it and feeling it, and Asta felt a little relieved on it. It just feels so weird for him, having a good time with seeing all of them, and Asta trained in using his aura better and feeling his body getting stronger. When they turned 15, Asta and were grown, and then was handsome and tall, while Asta finally learning how to speak and learn on some words a bit, but also was a bit small, and people tease him a bit on that, but also were curious on what his abilities are and his magic when they showed it to them. And Asta chuckles a bit and gets a little fun about it. But when Asta was looking at the village, feeling every aura present, feeling every feeling of everybody, seeing how they're treated, deciding or something. Then Father Arai then says, alright guys, it's time to eat. And they eat their potato, yam potato. And Asta then looks at it, and Orion says, Asta, what's the matter? You're not eating your meal. And Asta then says, Father Orion, with due respect, I have something to say something out loud. And Orion then was curious. Was also curious. Asta says, I'll be the Wizard King to change the whole place for the better. And shouting that out, all the church were hearing with a shock, but not really taking it a little serious. Yeah, right, Asta. Your magic doesn't really show much. And Asta says, magic or not, there's always going to be ways to find a path. And says, then I'll take that bet as well to become Wizard King. And Asta says, oh, bring it on. I'll become the Wizard King even harder. And smiles and says, really? Because shrimp like you can't beat me. And Asta says, well, that's it. Me and you are gonna go at it right now. And Sister Lily then smash him with water and says, "Now, Asta, eat your meal before you start a fight." Asta says, "Yes, Sister Lily." Ow! Feeling that pain. And that's where I'm ending this video. I hope you liked this video and hope you subscribe. See you next time.